Later next month, Bungie is slated to sit down and offer a presentation that will outline the future of the Destiny franchise and let fans of the game know where we are headed after the final shape. There are a lot of theories about what all that might entail, including a new overarching narrative with the Vex taking the Witness's place as the key antagonist. There are speculations about a hard reset to the game, allowing Bungie to advance dated systems and build on a new foundation rather than piling on top of the struggling one that we have now. And some people think that Destiny is actually going to be taking a hiatus with no new content flowing for an indeterminate amount of time. Now let me be clear, I'm 99% certain that Destiny won't miss a beat when the final shape drops. We will likely continue this seasonal trend with big content drops sprinkled in for as long as this model generates revenue for Bungie like it currently does. There may be a hard reset, you know, the jury is still out on that one, but I don't think that we will have a period where Destiny stops, really. But that leads us to the crux of the video today. What is Bungie going to have to do in order to keep the PvP community engaged with the future of Destiny? And let me be clear, when I say PvP community, I don't mean a segmented group of players that just like PvP, right? I mean anyone who interacts with the PvP content. Almost all of the PvP players in Destiny also play PvE. But Destiny lead Joe Blackburn recently said that he can't imagine a version of Destiny where PvP doesn't exist. He called it one of the core experiences keeping players engaged after they've done the new PvE stuff. But the community has made it clear, especially recently, that what we've got going on right now isn't cutting it. We've offered plenty of complaints, but not a lot of ideas for fixing. And Bungie also needs to make up their minds. If PvP is important to them, then they're going to need to start investing in it like they used to. Otherwise, just tell us you're dropping it and let the PvP enthusiasts know there's no reason to stick around. But like I noted, Bungie said it's staying, so what are they going to have to do in order to keep the PvP enjoyers coming back and getting that replayability out of Destiny 2? What needs to change going forward? I've boiled it down to 4 key areas of investment that I think are the most important. There are plenty others that we could list, but I think these 4 are the ones that are foundational to a successful PvP experience. Let's start with one that I think gets overlooked a lot. I believe that the PvP vendors need a lot more love and investment from Bungie. This is number 1 on my list, not number 1 in importance, but in order today. But think back to when Shaxx had all new guns and all new armor every major content drop. We wouldn't get one new gun or some ritual weapon nobody is gonna use. Like, ritual weapons, okay, they're a complete waste to me. Barely any of them have been particularly desirable. Like, who's still out there using a Reckless Endangerment, or a Chain of Command, or an Ascendancy, right? We've had a couple of ritual weapons that stood out in PvE, like the Salvager Salvo, the Null Composure, but overall, they've been remarkably unremarkable. The only one that made a splash in PvP really was the Adored. It's the only one that stood the test of time. But then they got lazy. Like, at first it was a ritual weapon for every major vendor, right? We got the Komodo, the Buzzard, the Python all at once. But now it's just one forgettable ritual weapon and all the vendors share it. But instead of having forgettable loot trickle fed to us like the Blowout, the Chain of Command, I think we need a full refresh to the inventory every year. That includes new armor ornaments too. I much preferred when Shaxx's full list of weapons got wiped out and replaced with a whole wave of new stuff every year. I mean, we can keep the focusing option there for old gear, but take it off his screen and out of the drop pool. I loved the fact that back in Destiny 1, we were playing the crap out of PvP just for the chance of getting an Eyes Luna to drop with a good roll. And it was very uncommon. And Shaxx had the Palindrome, remember? We could grab from him directly. Let's not forget, both the Palindrome and the Eyes Luna, 2 highly desirable PvP weapons from Destiny 1, got locked behind PvE activities in Destiny 2 that you had to pay for. And don't forget, they did the same thing to the Matador. Kinda lame. They took some of the most desirable PvP rewards from D1 and made them PvE rewards, which steals a lot of the replayability from PvP. But think back, if you will, to what we used to get. With the Taken King DLC, for example, Shaxx's inventory got a complete refresh with 11 new weapons. And included in that wave of weapons was the Hawksaw, the Panta Ray Fusion Rifle, the Byronic Hero Hand Cannon, the Havoc Pigeon Sidearm. Now we get 4 new weapons a year, trickle-fed so they actually get annoying, right? Imagine instead if Shaxx had 11 new weapons when the Witch Queen dropped, and 11 new weapons when Lightfall dropped. And that included the Out of Bounds, the Blowout, Randy's Throwing Knife, and a lot more. I'd be so much more invested in grinding to get the rolls that I wanted and trying them out. But the Randys got old after the first week of this season, when I was already swimming in drops and had all the rolls I needed. We absolutely need to reimagine how we handle vendors in Destiny now, especially in PvP, where vendors used to have such a major impact on the day-to-day grind and the replayability factor for the Crucible. And that goes for Saint 14 too. Now, before we move on to the second item on the list, I want to remind you guys that if you're looking to seriously upgrade your gaming experience, you want to take it to the next level, especially with some banger games coming out lately like Diablo, you got Starfield on the horizon where PCs can break that frame rate ceiling and go beyond it. Hey, I'm still partnered up with Apex Gaming PCs. We worked together to tailor make 3 different builds for you at different tiers and price points depending on how far you want to take it. You can get up to $250 off a new PC using code TRUE when you check out, and you can even finance a new PC if you don't want to drop a bunch of coin up front on one. You can use the link in the description and pinned comment to take a look at those builds. There's the Red Jack build, which is budget friendly, will get you into PC gaming and make it all accessible to you. It might be a great investment if you have a kid who loves gaming and is getting older and wants to move on to some more advanced gaming options. There's the Guardian build with a better processor and liquid cooling like I have in my PC. And then there's the Shaxx build, which is, cream of the crop, will handle high settings with its i9 processor, 3070 GPU, and a motherboard with extra slots for accessories and USB devices that you may want to leverage. All of these builds are also upgradable, so anytime you want to upgrade your hardware when new products drop, you can swap them out at your leisure. So take a look at those links if that interests you, and let's get back to Destiny. Alright, second on my list is a topic that no one is going to be shocked by. I won't spend a lot of time on this one because I unpacked this topic in great detail in my Glad reaction video, but Bungie completely dropped the ball on map development. They set a standard over several years, and then they changed that standard suddenly. They told us it was a fluke thing, and we were going to get back to having new maps regularly, and then they never delivered on that promise. One new map in 3 years is not delivering on that promise. It's a pathetic excuse for an attempt, if we're being completely honest, and it would have been painful but forgivable if they had just been truthful about it and told us that there were no new maps in development and wouldn't be for years. But they gotta get that ball rolling again. We used to get upwards of 6 new maps a year, sometimes even more. Now we're lucky if we get a single new map in a year and an old one that they took away from us. Forgive me if I don't show gratitude. If you take my ice cream cone away from me that I paid for, and then you hand it back to me a few minutes later, you're just giving me what was mine to begin with, so I'm not going to be singing your praises for it. And when pressed on the matter, Bungie often says in more or less words that making maps is hard. If you asked Bungie on a scale of 1 to 10 how hard it is to make a new map for PvP, they would probably respond
somewhere between 700 billion and 1,300,000,000,000 billion.
And I don't mean to be insensitive about that. Honestly, I do believe that it is hard work. I do believe that. I just want them to be willing to do that hard work for their core PvP community like they used to. Numbers show that 45% of the player base in Destiny plays PvP. That's almost half of your audience. Show them you appreciate them, show them they're important, give them some of your dev time and dollars to make new maps regularly like you used to. If we want Destiny's future to be a good one and a strong one, this is a non-negotiable. And that takes me right into number 3 on my list. I think we gotta start monetizing PvP again. Almost all of the investment in PvP was dropped the moment the front office at Bungie realized PvP wasn't directly linked to the price tag of their seasons and DLCs anymore. It used to be that on those DLCs, it would list under the price tag everything you were going to get with your purchase, and on that list was X number of new maps for PvP. And let's not forget that Trials is locked behind that DLC paywall right now too. But I firmly believe that PvP development should happen, and we should be paying for it. I'm not asking for map packs like the old days. It was hard to split the population up between, you know, who paid for this map pack and that one and where's the overlap. I just think you keep it simple. You either paid for the most recent DLC or you didn't. If you didn't pay, hey, you can't play on the new maps until the next major DLC comes out. You're all in the same pool though, but if you match in the matchmaking with all players who bought the most recent DLC, then you can get the new maps for your match. Boom. And maybe you do a promotional thing where the first 2 weeks of the new DLC, right? There is a playlist specifically for the new maps if you just want to try those out. But ultimately, I think that the businessmen at the front office need to see money coming in with PvP content attached to it, or they won't be willing to allocate funds to PvP development. It's just that simple. And now we move on to the final item on my list. This is one that many people, the second you mention it, they put their fingers in their ears and go la 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 la, because they absolutely don't care about what you have to say. They have their belief, and no amount of reason or evidence will shake them. But here's the truth from where I stand. I don't necessarily think that Bungie needs to abandon skill-based matchmaking altogether. I don't. But their current system doesn't work. It just doesn't. It is completely and utterly failing to do what they want it to do. I documented on Twitter recently a play session I had in skill-based matchmaking over a couple of hours where 2/3, 66% of my matches ended in a mercy rule. If the goal is to create highly competitive matches against players roughly in your skill bracket, then the system is failing. If the goal is to preserve connection quality like they've said while creating competitive lobbies, it is failing. If the goal is to broaden the parameters while matchmaking in order to make faster queue times, the system is failing. I often have queues that last 5 minutes or more. I've waited close to 10 minutes before, and when pressed on the issue, I've uploaded the entire boring clip of my ship floating in space for nearly 10 minutes as proof. I've been told, hey, maybe it's the time of day that you queue, TV. But if your system only works at specific hours of the day, then your system sucks, I'm sorry. And to debunk that myth, I've also documented 5+ minute queues during peak gaming hours as well. To make matters worse, Destiny's skill-based matchmaking playlists also suffer from frequent bugs like the infinite orbit bug, where you don't even see a 10 out of 12 players or whatever in the bottom right of the screen like you normally should. You're just permanently held in limbo until you close the game or change characters to break out of it. You may be a fan of skill-based matchmaking, that is fair, that is fine. But what we have right now is not working, and it's making the other pain points in PvP even more exaggerated and makes quick play slow, boring, and a slog fest. If Bungie wants the future of PvP to be successful, then they need to look under the hood and get to work. I'm not a mechanic, I'll leave fixing the problem to them. But I keep bringing my car to the dealer and saying, hey, it's not working properly. And you know, they're throwing their hands up in the air and shrugging it off. And that's not cutting it for me anymore. The system needs to be tuned a lot better than it currently is. And there you have it. Those are my top 4 most important areas of investment for Bungie moving forward if they want PvP to succeed. Now I know, there's going to be a whole wave of people who are like, oh, if you don't like it, just stop playing. Just shut up, dude. We've heard that a million times. I already have dialed way back on my playtime in Destiny 2. It is slowed down to a halt. I was actually showing this on stream yesterday, my playtime investment. I have dialed it so far back. That's why there haven't been as many weapon reviews lately. I'm just not as motivated to play. And I'm running out of things to do because Bungie stopped letting content flow and it's kind of running dry. But I do want the game to succeed. That's why I list my feedback and the things that I would love to see them do so that they can save the game, because I think at its core, Destiny is a very good game. But I do want to know what you think as well. What would you add to my list? What might you take away from it or push back on? Let me know in the comment section below. I do try to read all of those. I appreciate you for watching this video and supporting my channel. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible. Bye-bye.